Cascade Hoops Talk, bringing the world NAI basketball one podcast at a time. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D, good morning to you. Hey, we're playing basketball. If you're not excited yet, you better go get your heart checked because it's already getting pretty exciting. Hey, today we're going to have Coach Jeff Rutter. He's the head men's basketball coach at Arizona Christian, the Firestorm. As you well know, they're ranked number one in the country. Coach Rutter, he's been there. This is going into his 11th season. 8 out of the last 10 seasons have been 20-plus wins. He's been to 6 national tourneys. Of course, the semifinals last season. Put together a powerhouse there at Arizona Christian. He's lost a couple of key players. We're going to talk about that, but he's set for the season. They're going to be really tough. Of course, they have to play in the GSAC there, and Coach will talk about that. Why don't we go ahead and take a listen to Coach Jeff Rutter, Arizona Christian Firestorm. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got head coach Jeff Rutter, Arizona Christian Firestorm. Thank you for being on the show, Coach.
Thanks, Billy. Appreciate you having me on.
You know, in full disclosure, Coach Rutter was very patient. I had a heck of a time getting the software going, and he's been sitting there on the bench, so he might miss his first free throw. Coach, thanks a lot for being patient, being on the show. You know, how excited are you? I mean, as we record this, you're going to play on Friday.
Yeah, I think October, I was talking to my wife about this the other day, October is my favorite month with, you know, you got all the major sports going, basketball season's going. We're still undefeated and look great on paper. So we're excited to get going. I think our guys are tired of battling each other for a few weeks here, and we're excited to play somebody good to see where we're at. So and we start with LC State, who beat us last time we played, and Austin's done a great job and taken them to a few Final Fours, and so it should be a great game.
Yeah, we'll talk more about your schedule in a moment, but Austin Johnson is I think he's one of the best coaches in the country. He every season, regardless of what challenges he gets, he always puts a great team on the floor.
Yeah, and I know he worked with the Spurs this summer, so I'm a little worried about what Popovich magic he's going to bring out on Friday.
Coach, we've talked about it before, but you were basically a California guy. You played ball at Concordia Irvine, over at Cypress. You get out of college, you started coaching at first Azusa, and you assisted over at Cal Baptist. Talk about, number one, what brought you to ACU, and you've talked about it before, and then I want to know what it is about ACU that has allowed you to be so successful.
Yeah, really it's really the same answer to both those questions. The mission and vision of ACU and President Munsell and what he's at the time wanted to do with the school that was Southwestern Bible College, but had experienced some growth and a name change. The mission and vision is what drew us in, and they were joining the GSACs. We had familiarity there. I knew what it took to win in our conference, and but just to be at a school that you believe in and think the world needs is really what attracted us there. And it's really the same that what kept us there too. We just love everything about ACU and what it stands for, and the experience our students have when they come through there. I think any kind of growth and success, you've got first of all, you need an administration that's supportive, and we have that wants you to be successful. That we don't always have the resources we would want, but we have what we need. And they've been very successful, from our president, athletic director Pete Dreyer, and those that came before him. So that's helped us. I've had a lot of great assistant coaches come through, and much like my mentor did for me, Coach Odell at Azusa, I try to give them hands on everything, to where they're not specializing in one area or the other, but they're getting involved in every aspect and trying to prepare them to be head coaches if that's the route they want to go. So we've had a lot of really good ones, starting from Brandon Dunson in my early years. He's coaching up at Stanford now, to Josh and Trey Clarkson just a few years ago that were with us for 6 years, and Hudson and Hudson Welty and Caleb Ochin last year, went back to their alma mater. So I've been blessed to have a lot of good folks come through, and we got three brand new coaches that are fantastic, that are doing a great job. So and then just been fortunate. We pray a lot about our recruiting. My wife does, our coaches do, and we've been blessed with some really good players and good talent, and so they always make us look a lot better than we actually are.
Talk about the basketball culture at Arizona Christian. I know it's tied very closely to the culture at the school, but culture is an overused word, but I don't know another one to use. But what culture do you work to build? What's important to you? And I know it's more than wins and losses.
From a basketball perspective, we talk about being tough, smart, and unselfish all the time. And that's what I think wins basketball games, those three things. And we look for that in recruiting. We avoid, we kind of have a litmus test with recruiting where if we'll ask a coach, is this player tough, smart, and unselfish? And if he's two of the three, we feel like we can grow them in that other area. But if they're lacking two of those, they're probably not a good place for them, and and the best fit for them or us. So we try to bring in guys that fit our culture, and that I've made mistakes in the past, and it's hurt us, and I think I've learned from that. So we've been pretty good about bringing our kind of guys. If I'm doing my job well, and I'm an extension of our university's mission. So we want to transform culture with biblical truth. So we're some would call us the premier biblical worldview university, and so we try to do that in our program. So we're gonna talk about what's the Bible say about competition, and what's the Bible say about being a husband and father and a teammate, and adversity, and handling success, and and even more importantly, where we've got a unbelievable spiritual development coach, Randy Chambers. He's the real deal. He's really good. Mm-hmm. We talk a lot about identity, right? That your basketball is what you do. It's not who you are. But as a Christian, you're a child of God, and that's where your worth and identity comes from. So, and I think our players, when they embrace that, have a freedom to go play and just compete and have fun, and so that we're all about growth and spiritual development, and in whatever area it is, we want you to grow. We'll take you where you're at and love you and provide a safe atmosphere for you to grow. And we've had a lot of great success stories, like a Robbie Wilson and others that have come through and had a life transformation while they're at ACU.
Now, a lot of people might not know this, but Coach Rutter, he's also VP of enrollment there at Arizona Christian. We talked just a bit before we started, but colleges around the country, and especially private schools, are struggling a bit with enrollment. Coach, could you talk about if that's affecting Arizona Christian, and how are you dealing with it, and what advantages does your school bring to students?
Yeah, I think there's a trend, and kind of I don't know if attack's the right word, but certainly challenges in higher ed, and so ACU certainly faces those as well, like everybody else. We've had a lot of growth and a lot of great things happening at ACU. So the school's more than doubled in size in my 10 years here. We just moved campuses. Maybe this is our fourth year on the new campus. So we went from an 18-acre campus to what's close to 80 acres now. So just putting in athletic fields and lights, and fundraising for a future nice arena and things. So a lot of great things happening. I think what's helped us a lot is as cultures changed rapidly in the last few years, and because of our board and our president that are unwavering on our mission, we've kind of become distinctive for that. I think our curriculum, our focus on a biblical worldview is distinct, even in Christian higher ed. So I think we're becoming more and more of an attractive place for people that want that. So that's helped us. I didn't set out wanting to get into enrollment. I came here as a basketball coach. I became athletic director. I enjoyed building things. I enjoyed, adding a team and growing it and doing that. So, and we had some success on that on the athletic side. And then the offer came from our president and our provost at the time to move into the enrollment side and really focus on the non-athletic enrollment. Yeah. And so I felt like I had, some skill sets that could help there, and have been in Christian higher ed most of my life. So it was a cool challenge. It's been fun, when you finish in March and you're kind of worn out from a season like that. That's a totally different direction. Yeah. You can kind of go and so I'd like a little more downtime at some point during the year. But I do like that, it's a totally different thing that you can kind of work and focus on and get a little break from hoops for a little bit.
Yeah, because about March 20th, that's when most coaches are heading up to Lake of the Woods or somewhere, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true, and I'm worried about it.
You're locking yourself in your office. Coach, you've been there. By my calculations, I think this is your 11th season you're going into. Out of the 10 seasons you've been there, 8 have been 20-plus wins. You've went to 6 national tourneys. Obviously, you were in the semifinals last season. What are the 1 or 2 or 3 attributes that has made your team so tough, especially playing there in the GSAC?
We're battle tested. We certainly will be this year as well. I think you grow when you fail and you lose, and you kind of regroup and recalibrate and keep working. So we've had really tough, I think it all mainly comes down to recruiting, right? And getting the right guys here that are tough and resilient, and then that embrace our culture. That's really what makes it go, is getting the right guys here. Those 2 years we didn't have a 20-win season. We were good, we were talented, but we got away from maybe our kind of guys, like TSU guys, we would call them. And so we had talented players, but maybe weren't full, the best fit for us. So, and you're just not going to be as good that way. So, I've learned in my experience, when your best players are your hard workers and tough, and smart and unselfish guys, you're going to maximize whatever your talent level is. Like you got a chance to be pretty good. And if they're not, you're probably going to underachieve. So, we've been very, very intentional about the dynamic of our group and the roster makeup and personalities and some of those things. So I think that's helped. And, in a league, I'm sure a lot of coaches can say this with their conferences, but in a league where there's no nights off and everybody's really good, and we lost twice to our 8th place team, Westmont, who I thought was a national tournament level team.
They were good.
They had some bad breaks and things that they didn't get there, but like that prepares you, that toughens you up. If you can keep fighting through some losses and adversity, then you gain some confidence and some toughness, and, some trust in your teammates and things. So I think that stuff's all helped. We try to build toughness in the way we do practice, and make it competitive and make it harder. Every coach says that, make it harder than it is in a game. We try to do some, throw a few little rules and emphasis to make that happen. So I think that helps some as well.
The GSAC, I mean, everybody talks about it now. It's become one of the toughest conferences in the nation. Last season, you played William Jeston in that round of 8. You beat them by 11. Do you think Coach Von Vogt and Cash Williams and that bunch got, January 13th? Or well, they're going to be hunting for you, Coach.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be ready. They're a great program. He's done a great job. So
and
that'll be another great game.
There's a lot of GSAC teams that have your games circled. You made a really good point. I was going to mention that what people across the country probably don't realize is the teams that finished down the line they were really, really good, as you mentioned. Westmont. I'm going to mess things up, but Westmont, Vanguard. Teams that didn't make it into the tournament were very, very good last year.
Yeah. We lost 5 games last year. 3 of them were to our 7th and 8th place teams in our conference, and they're good. And like I said, Westmont, from a talent perspective, was a national tournament team, no doubt. Injuries and some, bad breaks and things prevented that, but in San Diego Christian and Life Pacific, coaches that have been in our conference for a long time and understand the level, like they're good. They're going to be, Coach Cook's son is back, and he's a very good player. So there's really no nights off, and that brings out the best in your team when you have that. When we've had some schedules that just worked out where we're blowing a lot of teams out early, and you just get a overinflated view of how good you are.
Exactly.
And you can get away with things and not close out quite as well, or not do this, and maybe a team just misses, but it's not because of anything you've done. So you start to think you can just show up and do that, and then that comes back to bite you. So we'll take a loss or two, I'm sure, here maybe very soon, but we'll be better for it.
Well, you had a great run last season. There's a couple of guys that have moved on. I'd like you to say a couple words about them. I want to start with Robbie Wilson. I met him in Kansas City. I was able to interview him at the end of last season. I was really impressed with him. That's a guy who just persevered, worked through adversity. He had made some mistakes in his life, but he worked and worked and constantly improved, and ended up having a great career for you guys. Talk about Robbie.
Yeah, Robbie's one of my favorites. Robbie's on the Mount Rushmore of great teammates. I've really grown to like we want great freshmen, like that's how we want to keep building our program. But I've really grown to appreciate guys like Robbie that maybe messed up a little bit out of high school and have a different perspective and value like an opportunity and an education to play again. Like I really like working with guys like that. Robbie's great. He maximized his ability. Like he's a good basketball player, but he's got, he finished with skill sets that he didn't have 3 years prior when we were recruiting him. Like he's just worked himself into being a two-time all-conference player for us. I don't know the exact number, but I think he won about 125 games in college. And, he's just a winner. And so, I really love our incoming class. Like I think we got a lot of talent and maybe in some ways more firepower than we did a year ago. But it's the intangibles that a Robbie, a Xander Bowers, a Darius Goudreau bring that are hard to replace. Just the toughness and doing the little things that help you win games. Xander Bowers is another one. Was a great player for us. Really, he was unbelievable down the stretch. Just making crazy athletic plays and his ability to defend so many different positions. So he's playing professionally in Albania right now and doing well. And then Darius Goudreau was another. Started a lot his junior year, had some injuries this past year, but he's had a job and got married pretty maybe even before college, before he graduated, and he's doing well in business. Micah Bradford's another real good player that we had. He was a grad transfer for us, so he finished and he's doing well. So yeah, certainly sad to see those guys move on, but excited they're all doing great. Robbie's actually, we were trying to get him to coach with us this year. But then he ended up getting an offer at University of Washington on the women's basketball side. So he's gotten to coach and he'll do really well at that.
Well, he'll do a great job. And I would encourage anybody, if they have a young man that is struggling a little bit, that things aren't going exactly the way they want, there's an interview from last season's postseason player interviews that's available on the podcast. They should listen to Robbie because things don't always come. He thought he was going to be a big-time football player coming out of high school, and it took him a while to find himself. So don't give up on yourself. Persevere through. And, that young man, he ran up and down the court like he was being chased by lions, as I've said a few times before, and he didn't leave anything on the court. So
no, that's for sure.
But you've got some great core coming back. Angelo Johnson, 12 points, 4 rebounds. He's, as you say, battle tested. I mean, he's ready to go, isn't he?
He's really good. He's really tough. He puts in a ton of work. He's really good and impactful on both ends of the court. Great vision, really unselfish. I think he could be a 15, 18 point a game scorer if he focused more on that, but he really likes getting his teammates involved and getting them going. And just really, really tough. Dennis Flowers is returning as well. Bryce Davis, both starters and all conference level guys for us. Dennis is really good on both ends. He's a tough shot maker. Into the clock, he's a guy that can just go create something and get a pretty good shot off. But AJ and Dennis, and last year was Mike, and we got some new guys that will do this well. I think one of the things that made us successful last year was their ability to guard the ball, not foul, not give up, the paint, and just pressure it pretty consistently without, doing maybe some of the negative things that come with that. So Dennis is very good at that. And then Bryce Davis really came on at the national tournament. He's in the best shape, that I've seen him in a few years here, and he was all tournament at the national tournament, and he's got the ability to kind of carry the load on offense at times. And so I think he's going to have a really good year. Couple other guys returning as well that have played big roles for us. Kevon Williams has going into this year, he's got 105 wins. It doesn't always shoot a lot or fill up a stat sheet, but his impact on the game is tremendous for us. Dominic Gonzalez and Paul Hayden have they're COVID sophomores, but they've had 2 years of pretty good consistent minutes for us for these last 2 years, and have both had games where they kind of exploded from the 3-point line and carried us. So a few other returners that I think will step up and make some plays. So it's always exciting when you've got big personalities like a Robbie and Xander that move on, and see where some of these younger guys can fill in those gaps and grow in some leadership opportunities and where they feel a little bit more like it's their team to step up. So that's going to be fun.
Coach, I'm glad you brought up about Dennis Flowers as a defensive player. He's rather slight. You watch him like warm-ups, you think maybe he's going to get abused getting to the paint, but I think he's one of the most underrated backcourt defenders in the country. He's really good.
Yeah, he is. And we chart a lot of things defensively, things that we want to emphasize, like deflections and things like that. And both him and AJ, they're very disruptive, but it's unique to be like that disruptive and be able to be aggressive but not really foul or gamble. Like, they're very good at that. So
you've also you had a couple of holes to fill. You went out and you got some guys. I'm going to tell you, on paper, it looks like these guys are really going to be able to contribute. I'll take them one at a time. Trent Hutchins, he's a local guy there. He played ball over at Santa Clara, and now he's transferred over. Talk about Trent.
Yeah, Trent's going to have a great career for us. He's going to be a sophomore. He won a state championship here at the highest division in Arizona with Dominic Gonzalez on his team. Played for an ACU alum. Jordan Augustine does a great job there. Trent's a winner. He's really tough and competitive. He's another one of those like two-way guys where he can really get after you defensively, but he can score. He's very athletic, shoots it really well. So I think he's going to be really good, and he'll fit in really well with how we play. James Berry's another one. James is coming from another Division I transfer from Merrimack, and he's 6'5", 6'6", really long, really athletic, really shoots it. He had 6 or 7 threes in a scrimmage we had the other day. Really shoots it, really explosive. So I think he's another sophomore. I think he's going to have a real great career for us, both all conference level guys. Micah Blackwell is another one that's coming in as a junior, played at Copper Mountain Junior College in California. So he was a first-team All-State player in California, and he's got some Xander Bowers in him, and some of the things he can do athletically that are unique. He's pretty skilled, and can shoot it, can drive it, can post it. I've been pleasantly surprised with what he brings defensively, where he scored a bunch of points and rebounded in junior college, but I think he's going to be really good defensively as well. So another future all-conference player, I think, for us at some point. So several others that are coming as well, Ethan Blythe, Nelson Mabongo and Rick Maganga, the guys that I think they're freshmen and sophomores, and with some development, I think they're gonna be key pieces for us too.
Everybody around the country, top tier teams, their schedules are becoming more and more difficult. They're non-cons, and you're certainly no exception. Everybody understands that strength of schedule thing is so important in the rankings, and I think this philosophy has changed a little bit, that you want to get battle tested early. That seems to be the trend. And you mentioned you're going to be going up against Austin Johnson's Lewis Clark Warriors team, and then right after that, you get a break, and you're going to take on College of Idaho. And I tell you, I've watched College Idaho my whole life. I think this might be the best College Idaho team ever. You're going to have your hands full right out the gate.
Yeah, they're very good, and it doesn't really let up. So that there's Oklahoma City was close to being a national tournament team last year. We've got Montana Tech, who will probably be the favorite to win the Frontier, and Grace College, and Olivet Nazarene, and Montana Northern, and Providence. It's a really good schedule, and I hate to hear you say that it's the best College of Idaho team ever, but because all the ones I've seen have been really good. But again, it'll test us, and these are national tournament type games. Give us a taste of that. So and if you take some lumps, you learn from it. We always have our guys' attention. For about 48 hours after a loss, our practices are a little bit better, a little more attention to detail, and focus on the things we got to get better at that might get hidden when you're winning. So we'll embrace the hard schedule. I think one of the turning points for us last year was when we went to Loyola Marymount, and we led for majority of the game, and we ended up losing at the end there with some free throws and things. I think we lost by 6 or 7. But what I was surprised, like it really made me think this group was special. Our guys were genuinely upset that they thought we were better than them. like a good WCC school. They thought we were better. They were really upset that we didn't win that game. And, I've had some teams, play well against Division Ones and then kind of like, have a moral victory. Like, man, we belong there and take some pride in that. But these guys were like much more competitive than that and really upset. So I know AJ, was texting me this summer about the schedule. Like he wants to play good teams. Like these guys want to play good teams and really compete and not have any easy days. And so, that's encouraging. Again, we may take some lumps for it, but that's encouraging. And I think we'll make us better in the long run for it.
So you've got some strong returners, a good core. I mean, a proud historic program. Coach, what is it going to take? What are you going to have to do well to compete for a GSAC title? What needs to come together for you?
I think with who we lost, as good of players as they were, they did the little things that lead to winning. And so I think our talent, our new guys and our returners, I think that's the bottom line. Are we gonna communicate at the level we need to that a Robbie Wilson might have? Are we going to are we going to defend and commit to doing that and be unified on the defensive end? Are we going to play unselfish basketball on the offensive end? Are we going to put success of the team above ourselves? Things like that, I think will make the difference. We're talented enough to compete with anybody, but our league's good enough that we could be that team that we're talking about was pretty good at 7th or 8th in the conference. Like that's a reality that we face. So it comes down to doing those little things and being consistent, being tough, and caring about our teammates and those things. I think we got the ability to be a really good defensive team. I don't think we are right now. So that really carried us a lot last year as we were, we didn't really hit our rhythm offensively till, maybe mid-December last year. Yeah. So that won a lot of games for us last year. So I think that's going to be important that we figure that out really quickly. And then just focused on improvement, whether it's, whether we're on a win streak or lose a game or two, just focused on getting better and improvement and saying that focused on that process, I think will be important for this group.
Well, Coach, I wish you a lot of luck as the season gets going here. As we record this, it's just a couple days away. The Warriors are going to be coming to town there, but good luck to you and the Firestorm as the season gets going.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the coverage. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Coach. That's Coach Jeff Rutter. He's the head men's basketball coach, Arizona Christian Firestorm. Hey, thank you very much to Coach Rutter. Really appreciate him taking time to be on the show with us, especially as he's getting ready for the season. Please get out and support your local NAI team. The games have started. If it's anything like this past weekend, it's going to be a wild season. Get out there, buy your tickets, buy season tickets if you can. Maybe slip the program $100. These guys are operating on a shoestring, and they're putting on some great basketball. But get out there and get your tickets. Take your entire family, and always remember, NAI basketball is the best entertainment value in America.